What's going on, Neon Nation? Welcome back for yet another Cyberpunk frame-by-frame analysis, this time on the most recent NVIDIA RTX 3000 series trailer. This will be a comprehensive look at some of the details and elements that you may or may not have noticed. Before we get started, I do want to mention that I made a video on the ads over 2 years ago that is largely still relevant, and so for the sake of not repeating the same details on ads in particular, check that one out and some of the prior analysis videos. There will be a link in the pinned comment. Moving into the details, this trailer opens up with a panoramic view of what seems to be the Watson district. Obviously a very cool shot, and CDPR loves to open their trailers with some vistas of Night City since they're typically the most impressive. I've mentioned this before, but a really nice touch is the lighting on the inside of the buildings having different tints and warmths, which gives the area a really lived-in feeling. Across the road we see the 24/7 store next to the Kendachi weapons dealer, a shot that we do see from a different vantage point in the opening of the gig trailer. Again, they are showing off a lot of the city, but it's mainly in the Watson district and some of the fringe areas like Kabuki for the most part. This shot also gives a better look at where the Lizzie's bar could potentially be, with the same holographic blue koi fish near the bar spotted in the distance in this shot. In terms of some of the new ads, we have Northstar up on the top of one of the skyscrapers in a pretty prevalent area. Some more of the Braindance ads we're used to seeing by now, including Wet Dream and Sasha Devon, as well as Dynalar. There is an Arasaka building off to the right, but it isn't overly tall. City Center is where you will find the main Arasaka tower, which was rebuilt in 2070 after the Unification War. Trauma Team and Police Aerodynes are prevalent in the skies, with a more sporty AV off to the right. The top of the building on the right has a very Oriental-esque roof, again signaling the prevalence of ethnic minorities in an area like Watson. Moving into my favorite shot of the trailer, we have the outside of V's mega building at night. There have been some subtle changes here and there are some new ads to check out as well. First up, we have Braingasm on the monorails of the NCART, likely a Braindance or BD arcade. Secure Your Soul can be spotted in the background, which I'm gonna guess is a type of religious braindance, since we know that these are big in the dystopian setting of Night City. A Kang Tao ad can be seen even further into the background, which doesn't look overly similar to the Kang Tao weapons designs that we've seen thus far. One of the better examples of ray trace reflections can be seen on the panes of glass next to the karaoke sign. Moving into the next scene, we have Padre briefing these Valentinos that we have seen before from this screenshot in the Afterlife. It seems that they are in the bar that you start the street kid life path in, and Padre is a famous fixer in Haywood that we have seen a fair bit of in the life path trailer. There doesn't seem to be shadows underneath the bottles versus Padre's hands, so this might be an early implementation of RTX, or the light is diffusing in such a way where the shadows are very faint, but it is hard to tell. Next we have the outside of the Afterlife Bar shown in the 25-minute B-roll footage from Night City Wire episode 1. On the left we have some uniquely dressed NPCs. There are some interesting options here, like glowing earrings on the woman on the left, and what seems to be our first look at luminous tattoos, something that we as a player can actually get. The dude on the right is committing at least 23 fashion crimes and has the glove augmentations that are popular with law enforcement and corpos. Behind them we have a Night City vending machine, which are prevalent all over the city and in V's apartment, as well as some crude advertising right above. Moving into the Lizzie's bar, we see it is a little bit more bustling than it was in previous showings, and we can also see some of the Lizzie's graffiti on the walls, seen first in a couple of frames during the behind the music trailer. There's not really a ton to go over in this particular shot and consecutive afterlife shots, other than more fashion crimes being committed and a healthy dose of butt cheeks of both the augmented and non-augmented varieties. I will say, however, that the ray trace reflections in the Afterlife shot are incredible, and with all the chrome NPCs, you might want to invest in an RTX card if you're a PC gamer, or the inevitable next-gen consoles when they are available. Getting into the gameplay section, we unload this tech shotgun in the Maelstrom layer on some low-level thugs. Check out that lens flare as the weapon is fired off, the detail on the weapon, and even some of the divots and textures on the player's skin. There is an auto or charge meter and ammo counter on the side, and this blast looks to penetrate this small barrier, hitting something explosive in the back, sending the enemies flying. We also use the Genesis rifle seen before on this Maelstrommer in Royce's revamped layer, peppering shots into concrete, blowing off chunks in the process. In our interview on the Cyberpunk 2077 community podcast with Miles Tost, he mentioned how environmental destructibility is a big element of the game, and CDPR have mentioned that they want areas of combat to look like they've actually been through some action once the dust settles. You can see your companion Jackie firing his dual pistols from behind, and although we won't be able to dual wield personally, it's nice to have some companions who might have their own skill sets. The enemy you're shooting at also seems to have a sawed-off shotgun, which we have yet to see in action. As V backs up, we catch a glimpse of a vehicle with the Villafort logo. As we move outside into the sunshine of Kabuki, V yet again uses the tech shotgun on some Tiger Claws members. The woman has some Japanese tattoos running along her arms and sleeves, and there's also a member hiding to the left wearing a helmet. Tiger Claws are heavily into blades and bikes, which is why we can see the Tonto blade in the arm of the female claw, and the biker male wearing motorcycle gear. He is also carrying the same tech shotgun as the player. Zooming in, we have an 8 on the building in the back, which we saw on the skyscraper in the opening shot, giving you a feel for where this location is. The Constitutional Arms Defender is another popular weapon, and we see it in action yet again during a boss battle with Royce. The lighting here is stunning with RTX on, and I am a big fan of the revamps to the environment. 2018 felt a little too clean cut, whereas 2020 gives a more menacing vibe to each encounter. The barrel of the CA LMG heats up and gives off a lava-esque glow, which might mean we have to deal with an overheat mechanic like we've seen in the LMG in the deep dive demo. The trailer goes on to show some reflections which take place outside the Lizzie's bar. We've seen this entrance in the gig trailer with these two Mox bodyguards. We have also spotted the ludicrous interest rates in the gig as well, which can be seen in the World of Cyberpunk lorebook. Moving on, we have this scene, which according to Philip Weber is most likely in Charter Hill and does feature many of the ads we've talked about before, with Newcomers Night Corp and what seems to be a strength augmentation advertisement as being the more notable billboards. If you look closely to the El Guapo ad, their tagline is Need for Steed, a nice callback to the classic racing game. Moving on, we have Pepe at the Street Kid bar, which can be seen from this vantage point of the city. My favorite part of this particular shot is the ad playing on the television, which might actually be the beginning of this ad. The explosion of flavor slogan does align nicely with what's being shown on screen. Dr. Victor's clinic and Misty are also shown, which we have seen in 2018 and more recently in the gig trailer. The scene does look a bit darker overall, and the most notable thing to mention is the sticker that says your daddy is the hero. It is that tongue-in-cheek cyberpunk humor that you just have to chuckle at regardless. Moving on, we have yet another scene in the Afterlife. Notice how there are different builds and sizes in NPCs, as there is a larger man in the background and what seems to be a shorter female in gold boots leaning against the wall. In the next scene, we have a traffic circle featuring a ton of Karoshi ads in the distance. The Us Cracks Abandoned Night City are shown in each of these ads, as Karoshi loves to use celebrity endorsements for their marketing campaigns. A Tiger Claws logo we have yet to see before but can be found in the deluxe edition of the lorebook is off to the left, as is a big DTR sign for what is likely a Decker Tanaka and Rogers shipping warehouse. In our next scene, we have some of these Kang Tao robots guarding a heavily armored Chevron vehicle with sirens. Again, Kang Tao is one of the biggest megacorps and likely has a vice-like grip in areas that they want to secure. These bots really remind me of Pathfinder from Apex Legends, and it is unclear if they're full Borgs or not, but personally I think they're just simple worker or security bots. Next, we have male V driving through the underpass of a large bridge or mega building in his sports car. Notice how the seats on the inside have a red camo pattern to them, indicating that different vehicle variants will also have differing interiors. It also seems like he's ditched the starting life path outfits and the iconic samurai bomber for this overcoat that we haven't seen before. Next up, we have a police officer using the same weapon as being used by this gang member from the Tools of Destruction weapon trailer. If you really take a good look, you can see the Style and Substance stylistic poster in the back, which might just so happen to be a placeholder. Finally, we have the ending crash scene as we chase the scavengers at night, which looks substantially different in daytime without RTX. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and for more Cyberpunk content just like this, join Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.